they really think this is funny? Canon Pac-Man lore!
Pac-Man kills everyone.
Let's write a song where he has a dispute with his wife.
Yeah. Oops.
In 1975, a new record label was founded called Kid Stuff Records. Their entire business model was built around this formula: license a pre-existing kids media franchise, create some sort of original audio based on it, manufacture some vinyl records, and then put them in record shops. It was essentially the vinyl record equivalent of clickbait. Kids would go to the record store with their parents, point at the giant record with Care Bears on it, and say, I want that. That is the bottom line of Kid Stuff Records, and it totally worked. From 1975 to 1987, Kid Stuff Records made an absolutely disgusting amount of content. In just over a decade, they managed to produce over 600 products, most of which consisted of, unsurprisingly, vinyl records, based on all sorts of things from all over the media spectrum. Cartoons, comics, toys, books, games, folk tales, movies. They did stuff for Disney and Hasbro. They did educational stuff, Christmas records, Bible stories, anti-drug campaigns. They covered every topic imaginable, including this one, which I had to seek out because I love owning cursed items. Clownphobes, genuinely, you might want to look away for this one. But yeah, here it is. This is real. This is Welcome to McDonald Land, 1983. Possibly the worst picture disc I have ever seen. Like, oh my god. So because Kid Stuff was reaching out to every single property they possibly could, they didn't shy away from the then budding video game market. This was before the video game crash, so this was like 1982 to 1983, when Pac-Man and Donkey Kong were still like extremely hot topics. Today I will be introducing you to my 3 favorite Kid Stuff records: the Pac-Man album, The Amazing Adventures of Pac-Man, and Donkey Kong Goes Home. I have more than just these 3. I have a McDonald's one, like I just showed you. I have the Yars' Revenge one, and I have a Bugs Bunny one, but unfortunately they're just not very interesting, so I'll spare you the details on those and get right to the good stuff. So first I want to talk about the 1982 LP titled The Pac-Man Album. I mean, right away, this picture disc looks fantastic. The artwork is very clean. This press is just gorgeous. The only thing is the characters have very exaggerated joints. If you look at the elbows and the knees, like every character just has like a lump on their elbows and knees, and I don't love it. So let's put it on and have a listen, shall we? Right out of the gate, the Pac-Man album greets you with a shockingly detuned rendition of the Pac-Man theme song. It sounds like it's running out of batteries. I love that they started off with that. It's just amazing. It goes on for a full minute before moving on to the next song called Pac-Man's Magic Land.
Have you ever closed your eyes and imagined you were in a faraway place? I do all the time. One of my favorite places to visit is the magic land of Pac-Man.
Okay, so with this track, we're introduced to the narrator, played by Patrick McBride. You don't know him. He's known for doing Kid Stuff Records and nothing else. I love that the narrator presents such an open-ended question like, have you ever imagined being in a faraway place? And then immediately goes to Pac-Man World. Like, he does this all the time. He loves Pac-Man World.
So close your eyes, use your imagination, and journey with me to this magic land.
I don't know much about analog synths, but the synth they chose for this song is insane. It sounds like it's drowning.
Pac-Man's Magic Land. Pac-Man's Magic Land.
All right, let's move on to the next track. It's called I'm Number One.
Welcome to the magic land of Pac-Man. It's a land of imagination. It's a land of excitement. It's the land of whatever you want it to be. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm the Pac-Man. I'm the Pac-Man.
So Pac-Man's voice has like a very distinct, like Midwestern American accent. I mean, it's obviously exaggerated, like that's par for the course for cartoon characters. But the idea of such a surreal character like Pac-Man being specifically from, I don't know, Michigan, that's hysterical to me. That's like the equivalent of saying Sonic the Hedgehog is from Florida. I just think it's funny is all. That's it.
I'm the number one guy around here in this magic land. It's not that I'm conceited or anything. It's just that I am one fast yellow fellow.
He's number
I'm Number One is one of the more listenable songs on the album. It's a very empty, minimalist mix.
I'm Pac-Man, I'm number one, I'm Pac-Man, I'm so much fun.
It would have helped for them to like throw in some synth arpeggios or some noodly guitar or something, but if minimalism was what they were going for, then fair enough. They did a good job. This song is very catchy.
There's a goofy bunch of ghosts, Speedy, Pokey, Bashful, and Shadow, that are trying to chase me out of town. Sometimes when they're resting, they like to sing. I kind of like them when they're singing.
Oh, I don't. Okay, the next song is the Gang of Ghosts Quartet, which is probably the most intolerable song on the album.
We are the Gang of Ghosts Quartet.
All right, so you know the four ghosts from Pac-Man? They chase them around. The whole joke is that those ghosts are singing very badly, and they expect you to sit there and listen to it for like 2 full minutes.
And we love to put the Pac-Man to the test.
I fully understand that kids think annoying equals funny. I was a kid once, I get it. But the parents are the ones that own the record player. That's all I'm saying. Whenever I'm showing this album to people, which I do a lot, the Gang of Ghosts Quartet is the track that I skip because it's not even funny bad. No, there's one part that's funny bad, actually. The part at the beginning where the ghosts are introducing themselves, Shadow's introduction always gets a laugh.
I am Speedy. I am Pokey.
I am Bashful.
We are 40 squad. That's what makes it so much fun. What fun!
Okay, enough! Oh my god! Okay, the next track is thankfully the best song by far. It is the one that gets stuck in my head all the time because it is awesome. It's called Turning Blue, and it's the first song on the album that actually feels inspired. We gotta flip the record over. Flip it and flip it good.
I better get one of my energizers. I love to watch them turn blue. There's nothing I'd rather do.
Those other guys want you. Those other guys can't have you.
Every time I play this album, people vibe to this track. It's just really good.
That we're two of a kind. I'm yours and you're mine. There's nothing I'd rather do.
Turning Blue rules, the song is awesome, but this LP has a knack for outdoing itself.
I love to watch those guys turn blue. I mean it. I love racing and chasing through the mazes. I could spend all my time doing it. Every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year. It's so much fun. The racing, the chasing, going down the tunnels, through the mazes.
Okay, so it starts off with Pac-Man going on and on about how much he loves chasing ghosts in a maze. You know, keeping to the source material. Very nice. But his voice gradually starts to fade out in favor of who else but Miss Pac-Man, played by Dana Walden. You don't know her, she was only known for this. This is her debut. This is the first album Dana ever recorded, and this is her introduction. Just listen.
It's so much fun. It's so much
That
fun.
Pac-Man never pays any attention to me, Miss Pac-Man. He's always racing and chasing and racing and chasing. He doesn't even know I exist. He doesn't seem to know I exist. I must appear the last one on his list.
Why did they do that? This song, He's Too Busy For Me, is what turns a kinda bad album into a legend. Lest we forget, this is the Pac-Man album. You know, Pac-Man, the yellow circle. Let's write a song where he has a dispute with his wife.
He's too busy for me. He's too busy for me.
I mean, it has a wholesome message they make up in the end. I was just extremely caught off guard by this song. It left me winded.
He doesn't seem
I didn't know.
The duet! It's a duet! It's like the corniest thing in the world! Oh my god, I can't take this anymore. So the next track is called If It's a Game, and the narrator makes another appearance. You haven't heard from him in a bit. So this song is a reprise of Pac-Man's Magic Land, the second track on the album. But this time, the narrator considers the entire transporting to another world in your imagination thing to be a game in itself that he wants to play all the time.
You know, one nice thing about pretending is that you can go any place, anytime you want to. Some people call it a game. Well, maybe it is. But if it's a game, I want to play it over and over and over again.
So not much of note happens in this song, except for the middle, which I swear sounds exactly like a Jack Stauber song. Like, listen.
If it's a game, I want to play it over and over and over and over again.
Tell me that's not like the Jack Stauberist thing ever. That is like the most Jack Stauberism. And then, are you ready for the final song? The wettest fart in the tub possible. That's right, it's the detuned Pac-Man theme from the first track, but for a second time. It was so good, you gotta bookend both sides with it, you know? It should be no surprise, I absolutely love the Pac-Man album. I love it so much. It is the most esoteric album I have ever encountered. But you have to have some sympathy for this thing's existence. Back in 1982, there were 3 Pac-Man games. Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, all of which are almost identical but with some graphics switched around. And at that time, the franchise had a collective 10 seconds of original music. So it was completely off the table for them to press a vinyl of the soundtrack to Pac-Man. It didn't really have one. Patrick McBride and Dana Walden were given a ridiculously tough task. It became their job to materialize 22 minutes of original music based on a budding game franchise that had next to no source material to work with. And by my theory, they didn't have a lot of time to do it either. Kid Stuff Records made a total of 53 different audio releases in 1982 alone. They were pretty much releasing a vinyl record every week for that entire year. So for Kid Stuff to maintain that schedule, they had multiple teams producing different projects simultaneously. I have no way to prove how much crunch these teams were actually under because all of the release dates for Kid Stuff's LPs are lost, but I like to theorize that they banged out the whole thing in like 2 or 3 weeks because the Pac-Man album feels like someone rushing through their homework. A lot of the songs consist of very basic observations turned into music. I think it's a pretty strong theory, although it could equally just be that they're making music for kids who probably don't care what they're listening to. But Patrick and Dana were not done yet. Later that same year, they made another Pac-Man LP. It's a sequel to the Pac-Man album. It was called The Amazing Adventures of Pac-Man. And would you believe me if I told you this album is so much worse? So do you want to guess what the first track on this album is? It's a pretty easy guess. Why don't we find out together, eh? Yep. It's the detuned Pac-Man theme. Okay, but really, why were they so proud of this?
As you probably already know, Pacville is the home of that hero of heroes, Pac-Man.
Okay, so the second track, called Take the Fruit and Scoot, introduces us to the narrator again, but this time, instead of him addressing the listener directly like he did in the first record, the narrator is telling a story to a group of kids and we just happen to be in the room.
Everyone here loves fruit. I mean, they love cherries and berries, peaches and plums, apples and grapes, bananas and pretzels.
Pretzels?
Oh, pretzels are not fruits? Well, they like pretzels anyway. You see, pretzels are especially tasty if you eat them with cherries and berries, peaches and plums.
With the story.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Anyway, the
God, I hate his delivery in this. It's so cringy. He does this like fake stuttering thing. It drives me nuts.
I mean, as relaxing as.
I kind of liked the narrator before. He was so weird and surreal in the Pac-Man album that it like wrapped around to being charming. But in this, he's just annoying. Anyway, after the narrator, the song finally begins with an introduction to the ghosts, and they have some dialogue with each other, discussing their evil plot to take over Pacville.
I'm always racing and chasing, but never catching that Pac-Man. We've just got to catch him. Then we can take over Pacville and scare the wits out of everyone.
What if we get an evil witch to give Pac-Man a rotten apple with a magic spell on it?
Oh, God. Okay, so right away, there's a noticeable change in scope for this LP compared to the first. Instead of going the music album route, they're trying to do more of like an audio-only cartoon kind of thing. Now, this is a huge mistake. It was a huge mistake because They're very bad at writing characters. And unfortunately, this album has a lot of them. Like before, the ghosts existed, but they only really showed up for one song and they didn't have any actual dialogue. But this time, all of the ghosts are individual characters. Pokey is the leader of the gang, Bashful is a pathetic dweeb, and then you have Shadow and Speedy. So Shadow was in the Pac-Man album. Remember, he introduced himself with the whisper. We just heard him. They kept that going. You know, they gotta keep that Pac-Man album continuity. The problem is, Shadow has dialogue.
Why we could turn Pac-Man into a big yellow jawbreaker.
When it's Shadow's turn to speak, not only does he whisper, but they panned his voice to be only in the right ear. This is coming through speakers, so I can't tell from here, but when I'm wearing headphones, I don't love it. It is not an ideal experience.
Jawbreaker.
The joke with Speedy is that he has a very high-pitched voice and he talks really fast.
No way. Forget it. What a lousy idea. You're right. We need to build a trap. I mean, not a little trap, a big trap. I mean, a really big trap. A big trap.
He's actually my favorite character, and it's not immediately grating, and I definitely don't hate every time he speaks.
I'm gonna tell you about this.
But yeah, the song is about how the ghosts want to steal all the fruit in Packville, since apparently fruit is what gives Pac-Man his strength.
We'll take the bananas and even the grapes. Oh, Pac-Man's gonna be in bad shape.
I mean, if they starved him, it would probably work. So, you know, go team.
We'll take the fruit. 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 We'll take the fruit and scoot.
Occasionally I find myself singing along to Take the Fruit and Scoot, but I would like it more if the time signature was doubled. So it's like, we take the fruit, we take the fruit, we take the fruit, we take the fruit and scoot. I don't like how slow the song is. It feels like it's way too slow. I actually wonder if they make songs like too slow intentionally to pad out the record. I would not be surprised in the slightest. Next up, we have Slightly Lazy Crazy Day, which is the third track on the album. Now, we haven't even heard from Pac-Man yet. He just hasn't existed so far. It's just been the narrator and the ghosts. So supposedly, the ghosts begin their plot of stealing all the fruit, and Pac-Man is only just now waltzing in, completely oblivious. And this song just expresses that. It's Pac-Man casually enjoying his slow day.
The sun is up in Packville, the day is just beginning, what a day.
I don't understand the appeal of writing a song where nothing happens. Like, the point of it is that nothing's happening.
Slightly crazy, lazy day.
So it ends up being an extremely boring song.
Stop those ghosts. They're stealing the fruit. Oh, no.
Oh no. So this is the next track, The Chase. So all of a sudden there's a ruckus. Pac-Man notices some Packville residents very distraught as the ghosts are stealing their fruit. Pac-Man repeatedly asks the ghosts to give the fruit back.
Come back here. Give me that fruit. I mean it right now.
And when they don't respond, he uses a power pellet, starts chasing after them.
Pac-Man has swallowed one of his Energizer dots, and he's catching up to you. Drop the peel from one of those bananas you're carrying. Now hurry up, drop the peel.
One of the ghosts drops a banana peel. Pac-Man slips on it and dies. He dies.
Come back here, you go.
Oh my god! Pac-Man's dead! It's left me in so much suspense, but you gotta flip the record over to see what happens next. Hiya! Oops. Hiya! Flip the record over!
Where am I?
So Pac-Man regains consciousness and is assumedly kidnapped by a rat. Now we don't know who this rat is, he just calls himself the neighborhood rat.
Hey, Pac-Man.
Who's that?
It's me, the neighborhood rat. Got some news to trade about a certain ghostly raid and the whereabouts of stolen fruits.
But he knows about the ghost's fruit raid and where they're hiding the goods, and he'll give the information, but only for a trade.
Trade! I want to trade! I want to trade!
Oh my god, this is the worst song on the album by a long shot. Like, oh my god. It's just this rat that we've literally never heard of singing, I want to trade, for like 2 full minutes. So it concludes because Pac-Man trades the rat for his Name.
I think I have something to trade if you promise to be generous and brave. I'll give you my name.
I'll never be the same. From now on, I'm called the pac-man.
Yeah.
I want to trade.
So the rat becomes the pack rat.
I'm in a trade. I'm in a trade. I got a name. A name? You mean I traded you for your name? I'm getting very bad at trading.
This character, the pack rat, exists because they wanted to make that joke so bad. Oh look, it's the Pac-Man and the pack rat. It was not worth it. It's not funny enough to justify creating an entire new character.
Yeah, I mean, he yells to Speedy, says, come back here, Speedy, come back here, you dropped something. But Speedy, he doesn't care about that. Speedy, he gets real mad. He says, hey, you Pokey, why don't you pick up that stuff yourself? You're always dropping everything anyway. So they get into a little bit of a fight, and they all run off and leave him. But then he yells around, he turns around, he said, Pokey, come over by where...
Oh my god, do they really think this is funny? Pack rat is canon Pac-Man lore.
Wow, you sure are a Pac-Man.
Wow, you are Pac-Man from the game Pac-Man.
Anyway, so the rat divulges the secrets. He says the ghosts are hiding on the haunted house on the hill.
There it is. The haunted house on the hill.
That's the haunted house on the hill. It's right there on the cover. This leads us into the next song, the I Hate Fruit Blues. Pac-Man makes his way to the haunted house. He can see the ghosts. They have the fruit. Then it goes into a musical number about how the ghosts are starting to hate the fruit they stole because they have way too much.
I hate fruit. I hate fruit. I got the I hate fruit blues.
This song is a lot more adjacent to the Pac-Man album's Ghost Quartet, where all the ghosts are singing intentionally poorly.
I hate fruit. I hate fruit.
Anyway, Pac-Man uses a power pellet, enters the haunted house, and kills everyone and returns the fruit to the citizens of Packville.
Oh no, he's gonna eat one of his energizers. He did it. He ate it. He's gonna break down the door into our haunted house. Get away.
Pac-Man kills everyone.
Well, our hero, Pac-Man, has done it again. He has recovered all of the stolen fruit from that ghoulish gang of ghosts and returned it to the people of Packville. The mayor of Packville is going to present Pac-Man with the key to the city.
So I don't know why the mayor of Packville isn't Pac-Man. It seems like Pac-Man would be the mayor of Packville. I don't know why he isn't, but anyway, he gets the key to the city, and the mayor, you're never gonna believe this, he has a very irritating voice, because this album just cannot get enough of those.
It is my privilege and honor to present to the Pac-Man our ultimate symbol of gratitude.
Oh my god, it sounds like a joke voice that Germa would do.
Thanks, Mayor, but it was no big deal. I was just doing my job.
Pac-Man says he's just doing his job, which leads us into the final song, It's My Job.
I do what I do when I do it. It's my job.
Once again, the BPM is way too low for what is essentially a victory song.
It's his job.
The narrator finishes telling the story to the kids, and they clap and cheer for Pac-Man. And it shouldn't be a surprise at this point, it really shouldn't, but the last song on the album, you know. At least it's the last time we'll ever have to hear it. I can easily say that the Pac-Man album is far more enjoyable because at least you have some songs like I'm Number One and Turning Blue. Those get stuck in my head all the time, but I don't think any of the songs in The Amazing Adventures of Pac-Man are listenable. Like at best, they're boring, and at worst, they're annoying. Even though the story ended up being kind of dumb and bad, I think ultimately choosing to focus on narrative was the right move. If it was just terrible song after terrible song after terrible song, it would have been a lot harder to sit through. At least the story was weird. The whole pack rat thing, that was insane. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, but at least it was entertaining. Unlike the third and final Pac-Man LP titled The Pac-Man Christmas Album, which is nothing more than a ridiculously milquetoast Christmas record. Just so you know, there are a lot of kid stuff releases that are just not interesting. There's a reason I cherry-picked these three in particular. I've scrubbed through the entire kid stuff catalog. Most of them are boring, and these three are not. Please take my word for it. The third kid stuff album I'm gonna talk about is the Donkey Kong one. So let me set the scene, right? In 1981, Donkey Kong released in arcades. You play as Jumpman, and you rescue Pauline from Donkey Kong. Everyone knows that the game was a smash hit. In 1982, they released Donkey Kong Jr., where Jumpman's name was officially changed to Mario. That is literally all of the information that was available about Donkey Kong when Kid Stuff started producing Donkey Kong Goes Home in 1983. And of course, Patrick and Dana are behind this. They did source vocalists, so you have more singers this time around, but Patrick and Dana still wrote and produced everything, so this is a very similar situation to the Pac-Man albums, but for Donkey Kong, and it is just as golden as you'd expect. So right there, smack dab on the cover, you got a big old sticker that says, "An exciting adventure story." They're really trying to sell the narrative, and it's presented in a similar way to the Pac-Man album. The thing is, at the time, Donkey Kong didn't have a canon story aside from what you can infer from looking at the game, so Kid Stuff just made it up. They just made it all up. And the idea of Nintendo letting some random record company have creative influence on their IP seems unthinkable. But keep in mind, at this point in history, Mario was just a character from Donkey Kong. This record entirely predates the Super Mario franchise. Nintendo was kind of a nobody at this point, like compared where they are now at least. So when Kid Stuff came to them, offering them essentially free money and free promotion in exchange for a licensing deal, Nintendo was just like, okay, so Donkey Kong Goes Home is licensed by Nintendo of America. I mean, the Pac-Man album was licensed by Namco as well. It's just ironic because Nintendo went on to be way stingier about licensing than Namco ever was. Okay, enough messing around with all the preamble. Let's get this record on the player. Wow, it's really stuck in there. Oh no. Wow, that was really in there for some reason. All right, let's get this thing started.
Look at that. Way up on top.
Big old gorilla.
Okay, so the record starts off with the Donkey Kong theme.
Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong.
It may not be the most creative thing ever, but it's much better than the Pac-Man opening.
We're talking gorilla, we're not talking Godzilla. Donkey Kong.
We're talking gorilla, we're not talking Godzilla. Well, surely you would be talking about King Kong, right? You wouldn't be talking Godzilla. You know, the thing Donkey Kong is based on? King Kong?
The circus is here! Yay!
Look at the elephants. They're so big.
Okay, so the next track gives us a setting. There's a mother and her two kids, and they're at the circus. They're having a blast, they're seeing all the animals, but they notice the world's biggest gorilla, Donkey Kong.
That's the biggest monkey I've ever seen!
That's no monkey, kids. That's Donkey Kong, the world's biggest gorilla.
Their mom delivers all of the exposition about her personal history with Donkey Kong. The zoo that Donkey Kong grew up in was right across the street from the candy shop she worked at. The candy shop was also right next to Mario's pizza parlor, and she was very close friends with Mario and Pauline. The three of them used to visit Donkey Kong at the zoo every day after work.
I used to visit him every day along with my friend Mario and his delivery girl Pauline, who used to bring him food.
I mean, if a place that I worked at had a zoo across the street, I would probably say hello to the animals every day too. But the zoo ended up closing, and they sold off their animals to the circus, so the mom and the kids only get to see the animals once a year. And then it goes into a musical number called No More Zoo for You, where the mom reminisces about how much she misses Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, we sure miss you. All of us. We sure wish the zoo was over there. Now it's gone.
What do you mean? What a bizarre setup. What a bizarre song. I'm having so much trouble picturing like a regular person getting this personally attached to a gorilla. Oh yeah, remember that thing that I said about how they outsourced vocalists? The vocals in this song are really good.
But there's no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. Zoo, zoo, zoo for you.
The mom tells us that where the zoo used to be is now just a big construction site. She somehow interprets that Donkey Kong is feeling homesick for the zoo he used to live in.
Look at poor Donkey Kong's face. He looks so homesick.
And of course, right as she does so, Donkey Kong starts breaking out of his circus cage and goes right for the construction site.
Oh no! He's breaking out of his cage and he's heading right for the construction site.
Leading us into the next song, The Climber. Wow, this song is very 80s. Like, it could not get more 80s if it tried.
Here's the climb up, here's the climb.
Man, that is some ambitious sounds for this record. It's so experimental and weird, I like it. They're doing like this feedback loop. Man, that sounds cool. So the climber just fades out, and then you gotta flip the record over to find out what happens next. Okay, so once you flip the record over, you're greeted with a scene that is so funny that I semi-animated it. Enjoy.
Hello, this is a Mario's Pizza Parlor. Can I help you?
Hello, Mario. Yeah, this is Jake the Watchman from the construction site across the street. Can you make me one of your super duper pizzas and have Pauline bring it over as soon as possible?
Jake, my friend, you are in the luck. I just took one out of the oven, and I'll have Pauline to bring it over right now. Pauline, I have a pizza for you to deliver across the street, so hurry and take it over while it's hot.
Okay, Mario. I'm leaving right now.
Hello, this is Mario's Pizza Parlor. I love his voice. I wish that was his voice forever. And the part where he's talking to Pauline like she's all the way at the other side of the restaurant yelling at him. Okay, Mario, I'm leaving right now. Just perfect. It's perfect. I don't even know if they intentionally struck comedy gold. It might have been a freak accident. The first time I heard that, I lost my mind laughing. Wait, why did Jake call Mario's Pizza Parlor on the phone? It's across the street, just walk there. Regardless, Pauline is out for delivery. She's heading to the construction site, but so is Donkey Kong. Their paths converge. Donkey Kong recognizes Pauline from his old days at the zoo. He grabs her and, with her in hand, races to the top of the construction site. And this leads us into the next song, On Top of the World. The vocals are amazing in this song. They're just really good.
Oh, yes, I'm sitting on top of my world.
I think the lower BPM of these songs work a lot better because they're supposed to be kind of somber. Like the first one was the mom reminiscing about missing Donkey Kong, and then this one is about the loneliness of being homesick. I know it's kind of goofy and silly to like touch on these melancholy feelings in a stupid video game record for kids, but it's something to grab onto instead of the non-stop barrage of annoying voices like The Amazing Adventures of Pac-Man has. At least this is trying to do something like experimental. I like it. And now here comes Mario. He's gonna go save Pauline, and Donkey Kong starts throwing barrels. They phrase it as Donkey Kong thinks Mario is wanting to play catch.
Donkey Kong is throwing barrels of oil down towards Mario. Donkey Kong thinks Mario is wanting to play catch.
I think because it's a kid's record, they're really trying to double down on the idea that Donkey Kong isn't dangerous, and so like they made this like story where they're old friends. But yeah, anyway, now we have a complete Donkey Kong scenario with Donkey Kong, Pauline, the barrels, and the construction site. We made it. We're here.
You better jump up.
This song, Jump Up, has some pretty cool synth work. I love the beat machine they're using. It's really punchy and I like it.
We better jump up. We better jump up. We better jump up.
I know I'm not playing a lot of these songs, but it's because they're generally pretty good, so I don't have a ton to say about them. Like, the music is too good is not a problem I'm used to having when it comes to kid stuff. As Mario gets close to the top, Donkey Kong starts to recognize him.
I think he's remembered his old friend Mario, because now he stopped throwing the barrels down. Mario has saved Pauline. He should be treated like a hero.
And Mario has saved Pauline. And that leads us into the final song, Mario Delivers.
Mario delivers.
Mario delivers.
Get it? Because he runs a pizza place and also completes his objectives. Some representative of the city asks Mario if there's anything he wants in return for his heroic deed.
You may have whatever you want for your heroic deed.
Well, I really wasn't being a hero because the Donkey Kong isn't really dangerous. It suggested that Donkey Kong is a homesick for the zoo. So I'm asking that the very top of the building be used as the Donkey Kong Zoo.
I speak for everyone when I say that it's a fine idea, and we all agree. The top 20 floors will become Donkey Kong Zoo.
The top 20 floors? 20 floors of zoo? But why the top floors? The idea of having to go upstairs to see a zoo feels very dystopian to me.
We're talking gorilla, we're not talking Godzilla. Donkey Kong.
And then there's a reprise of the introduction song, and then it ends. This is it. This is Mario's first ever official voice role. And as far as I'm aware, this is undocumented. When you look up what Mario's first voice was, people point to the 90s cartoons or Mario's Game Gallery or something, but this predates both of them. It predates the Super Mario franchise, it predates Charles Martinet by almost a decade. This is Mario's first voice. This is his first voice, 1983, and he's voiced by the guy that did the Pac-Man albums. It's really strange how quality of a product Donkey Kong Goes Home is. Like, all the songs are pretty good. The story is weird, but it all makes sense. The acting is fine. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it. Aside from that, I'm shocked it exists. The Pac-Man album is still my favorite though. Thanks for watching. Patreon.com/Clue. If you want to listen to any of these vinyls in their entirety, most of them are preserved here on YouTube. You should be able to slam it right into the search bar and find it, but maybe I'll preserve these records on my own and upload them to my personal channel. I don't know. Maybe. I'll see you next time.